You may be wondering what to do when you're on the receiving, giving, or witnessing end of a microaggression in the workplace. You might experience significant embarrassment or offense due to someone else's actions or behavior. This could leave you questioning, did I interpret that correctly? Did they say what I think they said? Will saying something make it worse? At Berkeley, we don't expect you to do what inequitable workplaces have conditioned their employees to do. That is, stay quiet or awkwardly shrug it off. No, we want to emphasize that it's not your responsibility to ease the discomfort of the situation. Nor should you assume that their intentions were benign. So first, we encourage you to address the situation. For example, what did you mean by that? Or, I'm having trouble connecting your comment to our work. Speaking up in spaces when we feel uncomfortable is important because even if it may not feel like it in the moment, addressing the incident models for colleagues a constructive and appropriate way to engage in uncomfortable situations and conversations. Speaking up is a form of power, and it takes courage to disrupt microaggressions when they happen. Then describe the behavior that was harmful. For example, I was about to deliver my presentation during the meeting, and you interrupted me by drawing attention to my hair. What you did made me feel uncomfortable. Next, explain the impact. While you may not have intended to cause any harm, the impact of your behavior made me feel singled out and undermined because of my race. It was a frustrating and isolating experience. Describe what you would like to see happen next. I encourage you to educate yourself further on why what you said was harmful and ways to prevent an incident like this from happening in the future. Sometimes you will need to address the microaggression in the moment. Other times, you might consider following up to have a conversation with a colleague so that a more safe and authentic dialogue can occur. Now, let's say if you had witnessed this act of microaggression happening to a colleague. You can use similar steps to speak up and disrupt the microaggression. It might also be important to talk with the colleague that experienced the microaggression first, to check in on their well-being and to understand how they may want to engage or collaborate in addressing the microaggression. If the microaggressive behavior does not improve, please talk to your boss or HR partner. Raising the issue to your boss or HR can address the behaviors and serve to prevent future incidents involving you or others in the workplace. Remember, racial and other forms of discrimination are illegal. There are systems in place to protect employees' rights. We all play an important role in reducing microaggressions in the workplace by engaging in self-introspection, participating in equity-focused professional learning, being courageous, and committing to taking action against discriminatory behaviors. Self-reflection begins by increasing our awareness of our social identity in the workplace and challenging our own biases and assumptions. Finally, combating microaggressions and practicing inclusive and equitable behaviors requires courage and action. This includes taking accountability of your own behavior when committing a microaggression against a colleague by acknowledging and understanding the harm caused and apologizing, and committing to further conversations and appropriate actions that address the incident and restore the harm. In responding to and preventing microaggressions as a manager, we encourage you to understand the importance of your role in disrupting microaggressions. Recognize that dismissive attitudes are harmful. Develop a plan for fostering an inclusive environment. Remember, training helps organizations and individuals recognize bias, but it isn't sufficient to resolve the impact on the organization. Accountability and incentives are proven to shape organizational behavior and culture around bias. If you're wondering what organizational responsibility for DEIB goals look like, it may take many forms, such as creating and supporting employee resource groups, embracing policy practices and procedures that explicitly focus on DEIB with the intention of disrupting bias, and disrupting microaggressions intentionally and deliberately. Understanding, acknowledging, and acting on microaggressions in the workplace may seem like a daunting task. However, it's a task we should all feel empowered to take on here at UC Berkeley, as tackling microaggressions is key to creating an inclusive culture we can all connect to.